Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So look, I know what you're thinking. A Guardians of the Galaxy review in 2026? That game came out in 2021, dude. And yeah, you're absolutely right. But here's the thing. I just finished this game for the second time last week, and I have thoughts. Big thoughts. The kind of thoughts that kept me up at night wondering why more people didn't talk about this game. Because here's what nobody tells you about Guardians of the Galaxy. This might be one of the most underrated games of the last decade, and I'm not even exaggerating. This game got buried under the shadow of Marvel's Avengers. It launched during a packed release window, and then it just disappeared from the conversation. But after spending 20 hours with Star-Lord and the crew, I genuinely think this game deserves way more love than it got. So today, we're diving deep. We're talking story, gameplay, characters, music, all of it. And stick around till the end because I want to talk about what this game says about single-player narrative games and an industry that seems obsessed with live service everything. All right, let's do this. First things first, the story. And man, I was not expecting to care this much about a Guardians of the Galaxy story. Like, we've all seen the movies, right? We know these characters. How much new ground could a game possibly cover? Turns out, a lot. The game starts with the Guardians broke, desperate, and taking on a sketchy job that, surprise, surprise, goes horribly wrong. They accidentally release a cosmic entity. There's this whole religious cult situation happening, and suddenly, the entire universe is at stake. Classic Guardian stuff. But what makes it work is that this isn't just a galaxy-saving adventure. It's a story about 5 broken people learning to be a family. And I know that sounds cheesy, but the game earns it. Every single Guardian gets real character development. Drax dealing with the loss of his family, Gamora's past with Thanos, Rocket's insecurities about being seen as just a science experiment. The game doesn't shy away from heavy stuff. There's this one chapter where you explore Rocket's past, and I'm not gonna lie, it hit way harder than I expected. I actually had to pause the game for a minute. What really surprised me is how well the game balances the emotional moments with genuine comedy. Like, the banter between these characters is constantly funny. Drax's complete inability to understand metaphors, Rocket's sarcastic commentary, Groot just saying, "I am Groot" at the perfect moments. It all flows naturally. You're in the middle of a serious mission, and then Rocket makes a joke about Peter's music taste, and suddenly everyone's arguing about 80s rock bands while fighting space monsters. The choices you make actually matter too, but not in that heavy-handed, this will have consequences way that some games do. They're small, personal decisions that affect how your team trusts you and how certain scenes play out. You're not deciding who lives or dies, you're deciding whether to sell Rocket's beloved gadget for quick cash or whether to take Gamora's side in an argument. It feels real. Okay, so let's talk gameplay, because this is where the game gets divisive. You only play as Star-Lord. That's it. You don't switch between characters, you don't unlock other Guardians as playable. It's all Peter Quill all the time. And initially, I thought this was going to be a huge problem. But then I realized this game isn't trying to be a character action game. It's not Devil May Cry in space. What it's trying to be is a leadership simulator wrapped in a third-person shooter. And once I understood that, everything clicked. Combat works like this. You're shooting dudes with your element guns, ice, lightning, plasma, whatever. But the real gameplay is commanding your team. You're calling out orders in real time. Drax, grab that guy. Rocket, throw a grenade. Gamora, do that sword thing. When it all comes together, when you're juggling 4 abilities while dodging attacks and managing cooldowns, it feels amazing. You genuinely feel like the leader of this chaotic group of misfits. And there's this mechanic called the huddle. Mid-battle, you can gather the team for a pep talk. You have to actually read the room, figure out what the team needs to hear in that moment. If you nail it, everyone gets buffs and your 80s music kicks in at full blast. If you mess it up, well, you still get the music, but no buffs. The first time I successfully pulled off a huddle and Take On Me started blasting while we demolished a boss, I literally laughed out loud. It's so ridiculous and so perfect. The exploration is pretty linear, but in a good way. It's not open world bloat where you're collecting 500 feathers or whatever. You're moving through gorgeous environments, finding crafting materials and costumes, solving simple puzzles where you use your team's abilities. Drax lifts heavy things, Rocket squeezes through vents, Gamora cuts through barriers. Nothing revolutionary, but it breaks up the combat nicely. My only real complaint? The combat can get repetitive in longer sections. You're using the same strategies over and over, and enemy variety isn't huge. There were a couple of chapters where I found myself just wanting to get through the fights to see what happened next in the story. Not a deal breaker, but worth mentioning. Can we just take a moment to appreciate how gorgeous this game looks? Like, genuinely stunning. The art direction is incredible. Every planet you visit has its own distinct vibe. You've got this neon-soaked space casino, creepy organic alien worlds, massive crystalline structures floating in space. It's colorful and vibrant in a way that games often aren't anymore. Everything's so obsessed with gritty realism, and then here comes Guardian saying, what if space looked fun? The character models are expressive too. There's this level of detail in the facial animations during conversations that really sells the emotional beats. When Drax talks about his daughter, you can see the pain in his eyes. When Rocket's putting up his defensive walls, his body language screams, "Don't get close to me." It's good stuff. But let's talk about the real star of this game, the soundtrack. If you grew up on 80s music, this game is basically made for you. We're talking Iron Maiden, Bonnie Tyler, Hot Chocolate, Tears for Fears, Rick Astley, yes really, and so many more. Peter's constantly playing music from his playlist, and it's not just background noise. These songs are integrated into the story, into the gameplay, into key emotional moments. There's this scene, I won't spoil the context, but Don't Worry, Be Happy starts playing, and it's the most perfect bittersweet use of that song I've ever experienced. And then you've got the huddle mechanic blasting "Everybody Have Fun Tonight" while you're beating up space pirates, and it's pure joy. The original score is fantastic too. Composed by Richard Jacques, it's got this retro synthwave sound mixed with orchestral epic stuff, and it fits the vibe perfectly. The battle music gets you pumped, the emotional scenes have these beautiful, melancholic melodies. It's all top tier. So here's the question. If this game is so good, why didn't anyone play it? Square Enix called it a commercial disappointment, which sucks because this game clearly had passion behind it. Part of it was timing. It launched in October 2021, right between huge releases. But the bigger issue, Marvel's Avengers, that game launched a year earlier, was a broken live service mess and completely poisoned the well for Marvel games published by Square Enix. People assumed Guardians would be more of the same, microtransactions, grind, games as a service nonsense. But Guardians is the complete opposite. It's a single-player, narrative-focused game with no microtransactions, no battle pass, no grinding. You buy it, you play it, you finish it. That's it. It's a full, complete experience that respects your time. And in 2021, apparently that wasn't enough. The game was also $60 at launch for a 15 to 20 hour experience, which some people balked at. But honestly, I'll take a tight, well-crafted 20-hour game over a bloated 100-hour open world any day. Not everything needs to be massive. Sometimes you just want a great story with great characters that knows when to end. Playing this in 2026, I think it actually represents something important. We're at this weird crossroads in gaming where publishers are chasing trends, live service, always online, endless engagement metrics, and most of those games fail or get shut down. Meanwhile, games like Guardians, focused, single-player, story-driven, they last. People are still discovering this game 5 years later and falling in love with it. It's a reminder that good storytelling doesn't have an expiration date. You don't need a roadmap or seasonal content if your game is just good. If it has heart, if it makes people feel something, they'll remember it. So, should you play Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy in 2026? Absolutely, 100%, especially if you can grab it on sale, which you definitely can at this point. Is it perfect? No, combat gets repetitive, some chapters drag a bit, and if you hate 80s music, you're gonna have a rough time. But the story is genuinely great. The characters are wonderful. The presentation is top notch, and it's just a fun, heartfelt adventure that doesn't overstay its welcome. In a landscape dominated by games that demand hundreds of hours of your life, Guardians asks for 20 and gives you something memorable. That's rare. That's valuable. If you're looking for a feel-good game about broken people becoming a family, if you want to blast Take on Me while fighting space monsters, if you just want a complete, satisfying experience without any strings attached, play Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not perfect, but it's got heart, and sometimes that's enough. Alright everyone, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this review, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and let me know in the comments, have you played Guardians? What did you think? Any other games from the past few years that deserve a second look? I'll see you in the next one.